The Palace is Neil Sean. He's been on Fox and Friends for decades. He joins us from London. Neil, good day to you.
Hi, Neil.
Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
We're doing okay. It's bittersweet. We knew this was coming. We're saluting her life, which was extraordinary. But that's one of the things about the royal family, and generally, if you are a world leader, pretty much one of the first things you start doing as queen or king or president is you plan your funeral. And this has been 70 years in the making.
It's a sad thing, actually, isn't it? But you're spot on, really, Steve. I mean, the bottom line is, while it's a sad occasion, you know, Her Majesty the Queen, you know, was a positive person. And what you have to remember is when you look back at her speeches and things, she was always referring to her own destiny, you know. Even recently when she used the phrase, in the fullness of time and things like that, you know. It's quite moving in a sense, because obviously we all know, you know, it happens to every single person. But when they are, and I don't mean to use this term loosely, but an iconic person, a world figurehead. And, you know, what you were saying earlier on was just fascinating, because you look at pictures and there she is with President Kennedy, you know, Jackie Kennedy, everybody that you could sort of say in history of the last X amount of years, you go, wow, she met them all, you know? And yet we don't know really what she thought about those people, whether it be Marilyn Monroe or whether it be, you know, Roosevelt or whatever. We just don't know. That would be the downside for me. I'd love to know what she thought about meeting some of these wonderful people that we only see as historical figureheads.
You know, Neil, you just said something that reminds me of Zelig. You're absolutely right. You look back in history over the last 70 years. There she is with John F. Kennedy. There she is with all of our leaders. There she is with all the popes. It's amazing.
She's just been a staple, and so I'm sure the people of the UK are wondering what happens next. Will King Charles be able to step into this role? You know, when she stepped into the role, they didn't think she was prepared. They thought she was too young. She wasn't her father. She wasn't her grandfather. And then she turned out to be so beloved and to reign for so long. After her father's death, which she had a terrible time with, she was so close to her father, she said, "We are all just visitors, this time, this place. We are all just passing through. Our purpose here is to learn, to grow, to love, and then we return home." I know she had a strong faith. She was close to Billy Graham. But you know what's interesting, Neil? She was in the public eye her entire life. She accepted that. That was her duty. And she did it gracefully, and she did it. She loves the country. But she died in Balmoral, and that was her happy place. That's where she could go and get away. And I'm glad that the people of London, of the United Kingdom, were able to celebrate her with a Platinum Jubilee. But then she goes away to be by herself in her happy place, to die and to be one with her Lord.
You know, that's so true, Ainsley. I mean, the bottom line is we all knew that she loved Balmoral. Not a lot of people know that she was greatly inspired herself by another long-reigning monarch, Queen Victoria. And, you know, when you think the templates are very similar, you know, because Queen Victoria was also incredibly shy, as was Her Majesty the Queen. I mean, people don't think that, but she was, you know. I mean, there was a great story that always makes me smile, where we were in Buckingham Palace because there was a media event, and I was stood with a comedian, a very well-loved comedian by the British monarchy, called Sir Norman Wisdom, and he was talking to Prince Philip, and I was there, and basically the trumpet started up, right, and Prince Philip said to Norman Wisdom, "Oh, that'll be the Queen," and Norman, ever being the comedian, said, "Boy, she can really play those trumpets," which made everybody laugh and break the room up. Now, Prince Philip knew, obviously, that the Queen, even entering those rooms with every eye turning to look at you, was just very shy. But she forced herself through. And when you look back as well, you know, we have to give credit to her very first Prime Minister, Winston Churchill. He was the one that she's openly said, you know, amongst court, that guided her through that very rocky early stages, because she didn't, you know, she's a young girl.
Yeah.
Talk about girl power today. That woman did everything, and with great aplomb.
Neil, you mentioned it'd be fascinating to know what were her thoughts on American leaders. Ainsley brings up that it appears the thoughts of the British public were very positive towards Queen Elizabeth, universally beloved. What today is the attitude of the British people towards their new king, King Charles III?
Great question, that, Will. It's a very difficult time, actually, because when you've had a monarch that's so beloved, and if you look back in, British history, it does happen. When you think about Queen Victoria, again, she was slightly behind the times, if you like. King Edward, who followed, knew the advantages of that modern-day wonder, the bioscope, as we know, the film, and he insisted that his coronation be filmed. He wanted to make sure, and he sadly only had a very short reign. I'm not suggesting this will be the case for King Charles, but when you've had a monarch that revered, that loved, we know a lot more about Charles than we've ever known about Her Majesty the Queen. So it's going to be very difficult for him to put a stamp on the monarchy, take it through the 21st century. But I think what we're all looking forward to is exactly how he's going to slim down certain areas of the monarchy that are what we personally feel over here in the United Kingdom have become redundant. And I think he's going to have to do that, not just through the economic situation that's going on, but really to make sure, if you notice now in this modern age with the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge, they're far more interacting on social media, connecting directly with the subjects, with their charities, and I think we're going to see more of that from Prince Charles. And don't believe what you read. Camilla is incredibly popular. She's done a sterling job turning herself around. So, she has done. She will be at his side, and I think she will be sort of imperative to how that's going to move forward.
Yeah, you bring up a good point. I think from a woman's perspective, we know that they weren't able to be married because she had been married before, and he was supposed to marry a virgin. He had to marry Diana, and they weren't happy. And we know the rest of that story. So I think people support them. They just want them to live their final decades in happiness. And finally, they got the Queen's blessing on that. Thank you, Neil. We're so sorry for your loss and your country's loss.
Thank you so much.